I think the most terrifying ghost, or this was a demonic entity that I've come across, is the one that tried to possess me. Yes, this did happen. So I didn't know if I believed in possession. I knew that it was a thing, but I wasn't sure how much I believed in it. I think I needed proof or something. And I never thought in a million years that it would happen to me or that I would come close to it. So I was with a couple friends and we went to the Gates of Hell in New Jersey. So first off, that place is really freaking haunted and super creepy. Plus, we brought 3 Dybbuk boxes with us. If you don't know what a Dybbuk box is, basically it's this box and it's sealed in wax to never be opened. It's everyone's most negative, dark secrets that are trapped in this box, and a lot of the times there are demonic entities inside never to be released. And us being dumb yet curious, we opened 2 of them. One of them had human teeth in it with a pentagram. It had all this weird stuff. And at the time, I didn't really understand my gifts a lot. I knew that there was something super dark there. I could just feel it, but I didn't think that it would ever take over me. I thought that I was smart enough to not allow that to happen. But this is before I was into protection, into sage and crystals and different ways to protect myself. So we opened the box, and I have this all on video. It's on my YouTube actually. And you just see me grab one of the teeth. It was a human tooth inside, and I grabbed it. I don't know why I grabbed it. Something basically made me grab that tooth. Right after I grab it, my hand starts shaking, I drop it, and then I start dry heaving, and I got really hot. It was 40 degrees outside. It was really freaking cold. I had to take off one of my sweatshirts. I was so hot, just sweating profusely, and my face was just white. I was dry heaving, and I kept blacking out. I remember us wanting to leave, wanting to get out of there, and I remember going up the hill, but there's segments of us going up the hill that I don't remember. It was I was blacking out. Then once we got up top, my friend saged me, and my other friend, she handed me a crystal, and the crystal, when I gave it back to her, was burning hot. I think this is one of the reasons why I started really believing in crystals, because this crystal was so hot, she flinched when I handed it to her. So now I'm very careful with that. I know how to protect myself, how not to provoke any demonic entities like I did back then. It was just a learning lesson that I needed, and I really wish I didn't have to learn it that way. But if you type in Kelsey Davies almost possessed on YouTube, you could probably find the video. It was terrifying, so I wanted to share that because it's not all fun and games, you know?
All right, I'm totally tripping out. I just experienced a glitch in the Matrix, and it is 1000% a glitch in the Matrix. So I'm unpacking, so you guys can see from all the boxes, and I get into my books. I have a box of books. When I moved, I got rid of almost all of my books. I was just the ones that I like, the ones that I've read. All of my books have lines in them, highlights in them. That's what I do. I write in my books. So I have a box of books. I'm unloading them. I come across this book, and I'm Proof of Heaven, a neurosurgeon's journey into the afterlife. I'm that's weird. I don't remember this book. Quick flip through it. No highlights, no lines. I'm I don't remember reading this. How weird. I keep going and I pull out a few more books. You guys, guess what I find? The same book. Okay, now I'm tripping. How do I not only have one, but I have 2 of these books that I've never seen before, and I'm sure that I did not pack one of, and I have 2 of them. I'm this is so weird. So I look into them. It gets weirder. It gets weirder, you guys. The back, you see that little tag? It says 3rd place books. No idea. Never been there. Never heard of it. Not sure. $15.99 as a barcode. Okay, what do you think? What do you think? The same exact 3rd place books, $15.99, same barcode, same numbers and everything. Okay, now I'm tripping. What the hell? I've never been to 3rd place books. I don't even seen this book before. How do I have 2 of them? This is so bizarre. So then it gets crazier. So then I open it, and I'm okay, maybe there's a signature. Oh, that's weird. Love, Mom. All right, well, maybe my mom got me the book and I didn't realize it, and I already had it, right? love mom. Please, somebody explain to me how I have 2 of the same book from the same place with the same stamp on them from my mother, both of them from my mother, because my mom gave me the same book twice. No, my mom never gave me this book. I don't remember this book. I didn't pack this book. I don't have this book, let alone 2 of this book. What is going on? Somebody please tell me. Somebody please explain this to me, because I cannot.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
This is my 3rd attempt at trying to make this video, and either it gets deleted or like the sound doesn't work, like weird glitches are happening. I don't know why. So I'm gonna try this again. So when I moved to Indiana with my family, I was about 8 years old. We moved into a house in a town called Sweetser. And prior to this, like I didn't know that, like, I mean, I believe in ghosts now, but like at the time I didn't think ghosts were real. I thought it was just stuff in movies. Very religious family. So I was always told when you die, you go to heaven or hell, and that's it. So we moved to this house, and it started off with like, I would maybe hear somebody walking around upstairs where me and my brother's rooms were. I would see like shadows moving on the wall. As I got older, I always heard a child crying in this one specific corner of my bedroom, like on the opposite side of where my bed was at. Every night I would hear a child crying. I would turn my music up all the way up as loud as it would go because I knew I was going to hear it, and it always scared me. But I think 2 of the more disturbing things that happened at this house actually happened to my little brother, and then after that, my dad. It was a lot more intense than anything I had experienced in terms of that sort of thing. So one night I was staying the night with my grandparents. They lived in the same town, just like on the other side of town, and my parents knew that I was going. Like, it had already been planned that I was going to stay with them that weekend, and my brother was going to stay at home because he was younger than me, and we just, siblings sometimes need space from each other, I guess. So my parents are in the room, which is on the ground floor of the house on the opposite side of where the staircase was that led up to me and my brother's room. And so they're in their bedroom, they're watching TV, whatever. They hear my brother start yelling from upstairs, and they're, wondering maybe he's playing. Is he being really loud? What's going on? So he busts into my parents' bedroom, and he's crying, he's yelling, he's like really upset. And he says, "Katie won't stop trying to scare me. Can you please tell her to leave me alone?" Now, my parents know that I'm not home, so they kind of look at each other, and they look at my brother, and they're like, "What do you mean Katie's trying to scare you? Like, what do you mean by that?" Because they didn't want to tell him I wasn't home, because they wanted to hear what he had to say first, so they didn't freak him out. And he said, "Katie keeps coming into the hallway with her blanket over her head, and she keeps staring at me. And every time I tell her to stop, she just keeps staring. And then she'll walk back into her bedroom, she'll come back out, and she'll just keep staring." And this freaked my parents out, because up until this point, I was the one that spoke up about it the most. Sometimes my brother would say things, but we were always told it was our imagination, that we were seeing things, hearing things, whatever. So this did freak him out, and my dad told me about it when I came home, and of course I was like, "Why would you tell me that? I sleep in that room." So then fast forward, keep in mind that my brother saw my face, me. So fast forward to a few years from now, we're about to move out of this house. I think this was in like maybe the last month that we lived there that this happened. So my brother was sleeping in my room with me because he always said he was terrified of stuff in his closet. He heard things in his closet, which that's creepy enough as it is. So he would sleep in my room sometimes. And we're like 12, I'm 12 and he's like 9 at this point, I think. So my dad is downstairs, we're upstairs asleep, my mom is at work, my dad's sitting at the computer in the living room, and he feels like a tap on his shoulder, and he hears my voice say, "Hey, Dad." And he turns around, he's like, "Yeah, what's up?" Didn't think anything of it. And he turns around, there's nothing there. Immediately, the same second that he turns around and acknowledges what he thought was me, my dogs, I had 2 big dogs at the time,
They freak out. They start barking. The fur on their spine is standing up about this much. They take off to one side of the room. They both look up at the ceiling, and then my dad said it was the freakiest thing, perfectly in sync. Their heads start moving. They see something, and then they go to the other wall, and they stare, and their heads are moving in sync. And then my door slams shut upstairs. So my dad books it up the stairs to see what's going on. Like, he's freaked out. He goes upstairs, he opens my bedroom door. My brother and I are both just sleeping. We had like a little mini DVD player thing on to watch movies, because again, we didn't like when it was quiet at night, because that's when you hear things. So he takes one of my boxes of stuff that was packed up for the move. He puts it in front of the door, and he goes back downstairs. The second that he is off the stairs and back on the ground floor, my door slams shut again. He goes right back upstairs, opens my door. My brother and I are still sound asleep, and the box of stuff that he put in front of the door is on the opposite side of the room, spilled over. So he's really freaked out now. He calls my mom. He's like, when are you coming home? Like, this is what's going on. I'm scared. And I don't think he actually told us about it until later. And to this day, I mean, this was like, gosh, I don't even know, like almost like 15, 16 years ago, maybe. And my brother doesn't remember anything. Like, anytime I bring it up, we talk about the creepy things that happened. Like, my dad remembers, my mom remembers, my brother's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like he completely blocked it out. But I think what sounds unbelievable, like when I talk to people about this, is like, I was young, my brother was young. They're like, maybe it was your imagination, maybe you were like processing trauma and, you know, whatever. But what makes me question it now is like, my brother saw my face, my dad heard my voice, and the more I learn about different supernatural things, the more it freaks me out, because of, you know, mimics. And yeah, so it just freaks me out. Once we moved out of the house, nothing happened at our new house. Nothing's really happened actually to any of us since then. The house I live in now, sometimes I think I see stuff out of the corner of my eye. I might see shadows move around, but nothing that makes me feel unsafe. Nothing that seems to have like a negative presence, so I don't really think anything of it. But yeah, that, to this day, anytime I think about that house, it gives me chills. And I don't know. I think I try to talk about it to people I trust, but people kind of look at me like I'm crazy. So I'm intrigued to see what you guys think about it.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Okay, so this is my sleep paralysis story. It like traumatized me for a long time. It like still really freaks me out. I didn't talk about it for a really long time because I felt like, if I talked about it, I would have sleep paralysis that night for like years afterwards. So some of the details are like a little bit fuzzy to me, but I also remember a lot of it very clearly, and like it still affects me. Like to this day, it affects like how I sleep and if I sleep, and it still really freaks me out. So right before this started happening, I got like pretty heavily addicted to opiates and heroin. And for a long time, I convinced myself that the experiences that I was having was a result of like how miserable I was, how depressed I was, how sad. Like I was prisoner to my addiction, and I saw no way out. I was so hopeless, and I really like convinced myself that the experiences that I was having was just a manifestation of how miserable I was. I don't think that anymore, but the first time it happened, I was still living with my mom. I was sleeping in my room. I was sleeping on my stomach. I had my arm like next to me like that. My face was like this on the pillow facing the wall. And I woke up. I became aware that I was laying in my bed. And it felt like, you know how like a dog, like if they jump up on the bed, they put their front paws up and they like push down. There's like a little indentation. Felt like that, but as if like a bear did it. Like it was, my whole bed like got pushed down, and I felt like I was like kind of sliding towards the indentation. I also felt my blanket getting pulled off of me like towards the floor. And then I heard like this voice in my ear, and it was super low, super gravelly, definitely male, but not like human male. And it said, "You make cute noises while you sleep." And then I felt a hand like come around me, like grabbing me. And like while this was happening, my arm that was right here, I was trying to like shove it out. And like after I felt that hand, I finally was able to like swing out. And I woke up, I like turned over, and like I fully expected someone to be in my room, in my bed, on top. Like that was real for me, like that there was going to be a person there. And of course there was nothing there. And I like froze. I just like laid in my bed for, I don't know how long. It could have been 2 seconds. It could have been like 30. Laid in my bed, just like kind of like looking around like that. And then a light turns on in the hallway, and I'm like, "Mom?" And she's like, "Katie, what's wrong?" Like she could hear how like afraid I was. And then I just started sobbing. And I told her what happened, and she probably thought I was fucking insane. And I ended up sleeping with her that night. I slept with her for the next like 4 or 5 nights. I was fucking terrified. But eventually, you know, I go back, sleep in my bed, and it happens like pretty consistently after that. Always the same voice, always very like possessive and like, "You're mine, like you belong to me, like I'm never gonna leave you alone," was the impression that I got. Also, side note, every single boyfriend that I've ever had, every friend that I've ever like stayed the night with, anyone I've ever slept next to tells me like, "Hey, like you sigh in your sleep, you go like like that." And so that like really, really freaked me out. Like I know I like whatever sigh in my sleep, and it was like, "You make cute noises, like come with me." And this like started happening a lot, like almost every time I would go to bed. So I don't remember like every single time it happened. I don't remember every single thing it said exactly, but it was a very regular occurrence. And I remember having the very distinct feeling that it like lived in my closet. Like my closet, you could walk in like a few steps, but it didn't have a door on it. Like it was just the frame and you'd walk in. So I had like beads hanging. And I just, like, it wasn't under my bed. It wasn't like in other parts of my room. Like it was always like in my closet. And the one time I saw it, I was sleeping like, I think towards my closet, and I woke up and the beads like opened, and I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. I saw like maybe like 3.5 foot like black figure like scurry like out of my closet, like kind of towards my bed and then like towards my door. And that's all I saw of it. And I woke up, and of course there was no one there. So I started like, I made a rule for myself, like when I was going to go to bed, when I turned off my lights, or when I like locked my phone, like my eyes were closed, I was not going to open them again. Like period. Didn't matter. Like if I woke up in the middle of the night and had to pee, doesn't matter. You wait until morning. If I woke up hungry, doesn't matter. Not gonna open my eyes because I don't want to fucking see anything. Like we're staying asleep. And I would also sleep with earbuds in, not even like playing anything, but just to like try to like separate myself from like what was going on in my room. Which I still do to this day. I sleep with earplugs in now. And this all started happening the summer after I turned 18. And this all happened like over the course of the summer. And that fall I was going to college. So when I was finally going to college, I was like, yes, like it's not going to happen anymore. Like I'm going to be out of that room. I really thought it was like my room that was the issue. So I get to college, and very quickly after I am like living in my dorm with my roommate, like I start having sleep paralysis again. And I remember one night it told me like, you can't get away from me, which I was sorely disappointed about that. Really thought the geographical change was going to work. And then another time, I specifically remember it happening. I had a boyfriend that I started dating at school, and he was sleeping with me one night, and I like woke up, couldn't move, and that voice was like in my ear again. And my boyfriend was in bed, like next to me, he was like spooning me, and I woke up and that voice was in my ear, and it said like literally, he can't protect you from me. Of course, I'm freaking out. I'm scared. And this like continues happening for another few weeks. And then I eventually like I'm talking to my roommate, and I didn't know this at the time, but she was very like sensitive, like able to feel energies and like see things sometimes. And we just kind of got to talking about sleep, and I finally opened up to her and like told her what had been happening. And she told me, yeah, like I always sleep like towards the wall. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, yeah, I do that on purpose because like one of our first nights here, I like woke up and you were sleeping, like our beds were like on opposite sides of the room. But if you just like looked over, you could see him. I could see my roommate. She could see me. And she told me she woke up one night, looked over, saw me asleep, and she saw like a tall like black figure, and sometimes it would stand like in front of our bathroom door, which it was like my bed and then like bathroom, so it would stand in front of like the bathroom door, and then it would like kind of float over like to me and like lean over me like looking at me, and then it would like go back like to the bathroom, and it would do that like all night long. I can't believe this was already almost at 10 minutes. But anyway, so after she told me that, I realized, like, fuck, this is real. This isn't just in my head. Like, somebody else is seeing this and experiencing things. And it terrified me. Terrified me for a really long time. It kept happening for a long time until I got off the drugs. And even for a little bit afterwards, like, it happened. I mean, it doesn't happen anymore, really. And I'm hoping like telling this story doesn't bring it back. Like, no, thank you. But yeah, that's my sleep paralysis story. And how I'm convinced being on drugs attracts entities to feed off of your fear and misery.
So y'all tell me if y'all feel like this was a glitch in the Matrix or not. This is a story I've been told multiple times by my mother, by my grandparents, and this is my grandparents' story. So, I don't recall I think my grandmother was pregnant when this situation happened. And her and my grandfather had been driving on the New Jersey Turnpike. And they had been driving for a while. There was a lot of tolls and stuff like that, and my grandmother really had to pee. So, they took the exit off of the Turnpike. I don't know if anything has changed, but as long as I've known about the New Jersey Turnpike, there are no exits. And this was back in, like, the 70s. So my grandfather said that they took this exit off of the highway and they ended up driving down this dirt road. Like it seemed like the road wasn't finished. So they're driving down this dirt road and they see this building. And my grandmother's like, okay, go over to that building because I got to pee. I'm going to see if they got a bathroom. So they drive up. My grandfather drives them up to the building. They said it was just one building and it was like nothing else around it. It was still just dirt and stuff like that. But they weren't really thinking too much of it because my grandmother really just had to pee. They said, I think it was nighttime too. And they said that there were lights on in the building. Like there were lights on, but they couldn't find a door. She said she kept walking around the building and she couldn't find the door to get into the building. So she decided to just piss on the side of the road, right? She goes on the side of the road. They get back in the car. They go on the same road until they come back around to get onto the New Jersey Turnpike again. Once they got on the New Jersey Turnpike again and they had gotten up to that following toll, they got in trouble because they were like, how did you make it through all of these tolls without paying, without somebody seeing you? Like you skipped hella tolls. And my grandfather was like, we took the exit to try to find my wife a bathroom, and we just hopped back on the turnpike. The toll operator was like, there are no exits on the New Jersey Turnpike, so that it's no way that you could have skipped all of these tolls and made it down. There's no exit to get off of this turnpike at all. What do y'all think that was? Was that a glitch in the Matrix? I feel like it was.
So we all know that the timelines are collapsing on each other, but I wanted to know if anybody else is having some weird experiences. And I wouldn't call them glitches in the Matrix or anything like that. It's similar, but not quite. What's been happening to me is I'm getting snippets of alternate realities. And what I mean by that is, let me give you an example. I was leaving a house, and there were shoes on the front step. And I got hit with this image, vision, whatever you want to call it, of me tripping over these shoes and eating shit. I felt the pain. I knew exactly how I landed. I knew where all of my shit went. I saw it happen. I felt it. But in the blink of an eye, it was over, and it didn't actually happen. And it's happened a few other times with a couple other things, but it's making me feel a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm big into spirituality and all of that, and I'm open-minded to a lot, but this one is making me feel a little nutty. So I want to know if anybody else is experiencing anything like this or anything similar, because it's wild. Like, I feel like I'm experiencing alternate realities that are actually happening, like I'm seeing them. So let me know if I'm alone or if I'm just losing my mind just a little bit.
Okay, so I want to come on here and talk about what the fuck happened to me while I was camping. So I live in Utah, and I went camping at Strawberry Reservoir with one of my friends. It was just the two of us. And this reservoir, like, we're kind of camping on, like, a cliff, like, maybe, like, 200 feet, I don't know, above, like, the water or whatever. Like, if you walk down a trail, like, the beach is right there. And we were, like, camping on this cliff, like, kind of close to the road, but not really, maybe, like, a quarter mile off the road. And so we get there during the day, we set up, whatever, and we get into the tent around, like, 9 o'clock. We put the fire out. It's dark. There's, like, nobody else camping around. This is, like, a wild, like, camping site, you know. There's, like, a fire pit and stuff, but it's not a campground. And so we get into the tent. We're talking for a minute, and then we get quiet because we're, like, about to go to sleep. And then right when we, like, get quiet and stop talking, it sounds like there's wind, you know, like the rain tarp on our tent is, like, moving around a lot. But I'm like, is that, like, as I talk to my friend, I'm like, that's just the wind, right? And they're like, what? And I'm like, the sound of the tent moving. And they're like, oh, like, I guess, like, but there hasn't been, like, any wind, right? Like, there's been no wind. The weather's been perfect. Like, and so we're both quiet for a second, and then we hear, like, footsteps. And I am crazy, okay? I think, like, there's crazy murderers, you know, and, like, monsters and shit, and my friend is scared of animals, so I'm like, tell me it's not an animal, and I will be fine. Or tell me it's not a human, and I will be fine. And they're like, it's definitely not a person, it's an animal, so, like, I should be scared, you shouldn't be scared. So I'm like, okay, I shouldn't be scared, it's just an animal. Like, they're right, it's probably just an animal. And so we're like, okay, what do we do? And so we start making a bunch of noise in the tent, like, going, like, rah, 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 whatever, and, like, banging on the walls of the tent to try to scare away this animal, because it's an animal, it'll get scared, it'll go away, and we can't see what it is. The way our tent is, like, there's no way to see what it is unless we unzip the tent and then unzip the rain tarp, like, which we were not about to do, because then whatever it was could get in the tent, whatever. And this thing is, like, not going away, and I have my gun on me, because it's just the two of us camping, so I'm like, I say it out loud, I'm like, okay, like, I'm just gonna stick the gun out a little slit in the tent, and I'm just gonna fire a round off into the dirt, and that'll scare off whatever it is, because us making noise obviously wasn't working. And right when I say this, all the sound stops. Okay, like, it just stops. So we're like, so we get quiet and we listen for a bit, and we don't hear anything. And we both have to pee, so my friend sticks their head out, they look around, they're like, okay, I don't see anything. So we get out, and we look around, shine lights everywhere, whatever, there's nothing. Like, I look for footprints, I look for paw prints, there's nothing. Like, we have a trash bag full of food, like, 10 feet away, like, by the truck, and it's undisturbed, like, so we're kind of like, okay, like, so my friend is like, I'm going to start the fire again, and I'm just going to sit out here and drink a few more beers, and, you know, like, you can get in the tent and sleep, and I'll just kind of, like, just keep the fire going so that whatever it is, like, stays away. And I'm like, okay. So I get back in the tent, they start the fire again, everything's going fine, we're kind of, like, yelling at each other from, you know, the fire to the tent. I'm, like, talking to them, they're talking to me, whatever. This goes on for, like, a couple of hours, because, like, I'm just cold, I want to be in the tent, but I can't sleep. So eventually, maybe at, like, 2 a.m., they get back in the tent, the fire's out, and, you know, we talk for a few minutes again, and then we get quiet again, and then this time, it's definitely footsteps. It comes back. And it's not like little quiet footsteps like we had heard the time before. This was like right outside the door of our tent, pacing back and forth. And it was louder, and we, you know, start making more noise again. And I realize, okay, I have the keys to the truck in the tent with us. I'm going to set the alarm off on the truck. So I set off the alarm. It's like, brr, 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 brr. You know, if it was an animal, the animal would have been like, you know, like all startled and like ran off. That didn't happen. Like, no startled noises happened. Like, whatever it was just calmly still walking around outside of our tent. And we're like, what the fuck? So we're scared. And at this point, I'm thinking, this is not an animal, because this is the same thing that was here hours ago. So maybe this was some body just walked away and waited and watched us while my friend was out at the fire and waited for us to go to sleep again before they came back. Like, because this was right after we got into the tent. Like, literally, like, 2 minutes after we were both in the tent again, fire's out, we're going to sleep. Like, 2 minutes after that, this thing is back walking around outside of our tent. And we're making noises, the truck alarm's going off, this thing is not leaving, and we don't know what it is, and we're fucking terrified. And at this point, like, I'm scared. There's no other campsites around us. There is no other, like, there's no people around us. Like, so I'm thinking, like, I'm just literally, like, I don't give a shit about my tent at this point. I'm like, I'm going to start fucking just emptying my clip, just poo, 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 in this direction of where I'm hearing something. Because there's no way that I'm going to hit something innocent, you know? Like, I'm not going to hit anything innocent. There's nobody else around us. There shouldn't be anybody else around us, basically. And so I'm saying out loud, I'm going to empty my fucking clip. I'm going to just start shooting in the direction, like, through the tent. I'm in the tent. I gave my friend, like, my earmuffs that I had brought, you know, like, for, you know, so you can't, they're not, like, earmuffs, but they're, like, gun headphones, whatever. I give them to them, and I'm like, I'm going to start fucking shooting. And I don't care about my ears. I'm like, whatever. And right when I say this, the noises stop again. And we're just like, what the fuck? Like, and so we're sitting there, we're both shaking, we're scared, we're trying to figure out, like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, okay, like, let's unzip the tent again. I'm gonna I have a strobe light on my gun. And so I'm like, let's stick the thing out, and it's gonna strobe, and whatever's out there is gonna be blinded, and we'll be able to see it. We jump out, nothing. There's nothing there. Again, no footprints, no paw prints, the trash bag full of food is undisturbed, nothing. We are looking everywhere, nothing. But we're not gonna let this shit happen again, so we abandon our tent, we abandon the camping chairs, like, we have some, like, beer left still, like, we fucking leave everything, get in the truck, and we, like, drive, like, 30 minutes kind of close to, like, a convenience store that we had seen, and we park there and we sleep in the truck until morning, when we decide, okay, let's go back and let's collect all of our stuff. So we go back and everything is undisturbed. The tent is undisturbed. The trash bag full of food, undisturbed. Like, if this was an animal, they would have fucking, like, ransacked the camp once we were gone, right? Like, this was not an animal. Like, because the food would have been disturbed, and we would have heard animal noises, like, and they wouldn't have left once I started saying, I'm gonna shoot. An animal doesn't know what that means. That's why I'm like, was this a person? Like, because I didn't hear, like, sniffing sounds, or, like, an animal would have been, like, pawing at the tent, or rubbing their snout, sniffing. Like, none of that happened. So, was it a person? But what's weird is, like, we never heard footsteps walking up or walking away. It was always just like, boom, they appeared right outside, specifically the door to our tent. They weren't walking around, just the door to our tent. And I looked up Strawberry Reservoir, and I guess there's, like, a bunch of people that go missing there a lot, and, like, there's a bunch of dead bodies in the water that, like, search and rescue can't get to because, like, they don't float to the surface or something. So I'm like, my friend thinks it was a ghost. I'm like, maybe it was a skinwalker. Like, because we were on, like, it's kind of like an Indian reservation area, so, like, I don't know, but it wasn't a fucking animal. It was not an animal. And I don't know what it was, and I'm kind of glad that we never saw what it was, because I feel like it was not something good. I think it would have scared the shit. I mean, we were already scared. We both almost passed out from fear. Like, I've never been, like, one thing I've, like, always heard is when you're camping, like, trust your gut, and my gut tells me that, like, something was out there fucking us. Like, not fucking us, but they were fucking with us. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I would like to hear some theories, because what the fuck?
I lived in a haunted farmhouse for 2 years, and I actually caught a ghost on camera with my first-gen iPhone. So first I'm going to show you the 100% unedited photo that I took. I went to get the mail, and I turned around, and I took this picture because I had just gotten my new car. So I took a picture of my car in the driveway. Then when I got into the house and pulled up the photo, I noticed something in the window. So I zoomed in here on the unedited photo. This is, I believe, the woman ghost. This is actually from the dining room, and I saw the top portion of her translucent body in there one time walking around. So I believe that is the woman ghost that was in the house. There's quite a few ghosts there. But you can see her face and 2 hands on the window watching me from inside the house. I didn't get really bad vibes from her. There was an evil presence upstairs near the master bedroom and bathroom. I can tell more stories about that if you want. There was also a child there who loved to play pranks on me and my mom specifically. Used to lock my mom out of the house constantly. Used to set the fire alarm off for me when I was home alone and then laugh when I ran upstairs. Let me know if you guys want to hear more stories. Some of it is triggering.
Time for another scary story. And this one was the most terrifying paranormal experience I've had in my life up to this point. So if you've seen my previous TikToks about these scary stories, you'll know that in college, my junior and senior years, I lived with 5 of my really good friends. We lived in a house behind campus, and I lived in a room in the basement downstairs. My room was the only room in the basement. Now, the house we lived in was small enough that if I was in my basement, I could hear really well anything that was happening in the house as far as doors opening and closing, people walking around upstairs, and that sort of thing. And I had gone down to my room in the basement because, well, at one point, all of us were at the house and hanging out upstairs. Everyone else had gone to do their own thing. They were going to hang out with their girlfriends, they had some errands to run, whatever. So I went down into my room to play Xbox or maybe watch something on Netflix. Well, as I'm down in my room, I hear the front door to the house open and close and someone walk into the house and they're walking around. And I figure, well, I'd rather hang out with somebody than be in my room by myself, so I'm going to go upstairs and hang out. And I get upstairs and there's no one up there. I look around the entire house, all of the rooms are empty, nobody had come in. And if somebody had walked out to go back to whatever they were doing, like I said, the house was small enough that I would have heard them walk back outside, the door open and close as they were leaving. But that never happened. So when I realized that, I figured, okay, it's another one of those weird experiences. I'm not going to try to freak out too much, but I'm not going down to my room again because that's where most of the stuff happens. And I was about to be heading onto campus pretty shortly after this myself anyways. So I just sat in the living room and was scrolling on my phone for a little bit. Well, as I'm scrolling on my phone, I hear from the kitchen a clear as day, low grumbling noise. The way I've liked to try to describe it to friends before is if you can imagine this really big Rottweiler growling at you angrily. That's what it sounded like. And it was clear as day, definitely coming from the kitchen. It was not coming from outside. And it was at that point when I decided, you know what, maybe I just need to get out of the house. The only issue was, to get out of the house and to go to the driveway, I had to walk past the kitchen. So I just kind of sucked it up, and I walked past, even though I really didn't want to be there. And I get into the driveway, and I hop in my truck. Once I'm in my truck, I start to back out, and as I'm backing out, the front of my truck is facing the house. And the front of the house had these two windows. I'll try to put a picture in here so you can see. But the two windows, when the blinds are open, you can see into the front of the house really clearly. And the left window kind of shows the spot from the front room to where there's a hallway that leads into the kitchen and the living room. And I see this really tall black silhouette walking from the hallway on the left side of the house across the walkway that would take you from the front room into the kitchen and the living room. And like I said, I had checked the whole house. Nobody was there. So it was definitely something that was in the house, something paranormal, and something that felt malicious, especially the way it was making that really awful growling noise right before I left. And that was the most terrifying it ever got in the house. My roommates and I, we had taken to calling whatever was in the house Little Ghosty as kind of a way to make light of it and to try to make it a little less scary. So I don't know if this was its way of trying to show me, hey, I'm something to be taken seriously, or if this was just the next natural progression as far as how hostile or active this entity seemed to be. Either way, I was not happy about what I experienced and did not want to be back in that house for a little while after that. So this is the house, and as you can see here, this is that window to the left where you can kind of see past the front room and into the hallway, where if you cross that little walkway from this hallway over here, you can go into the kitchen. And this was the garage. There's this little window here that only leads into the garage. So like I said in previous videos, my room didn't have any sort of window or anything. This was the only window that was downstairs.